What's going on, everybody? This is Goofy Rexy here. So in today's video, we're going to be touching on the top 6 characters that I believe should be fixed in Marvel Strike Force. There's a lot of characters in this game. I'm not going to talk about your garbage characters, right? Like characters that you don't really use, your Nebulas, potentially a Gamoras, characters like that, your hand team. No, what I'm going to be talking about today are the top 6 characters that actually still do have viability and usage in this game, or they would be much better if they actually were fixed and they could actually then have more viability and usage on your roster. So that's what we're going to be going through today, guys, and we're starting right now. All right, so the first character on my list here is the legendary Star-Lord. For me, he's actually the character that I have a lot of sentimental value to. When I first got Star-Lord in the game, I was able to actually finally have a solidified U6 team. Was able to use, him on my U6 team for a long time until the difficulty slider started to kind of slide in, right? So difficulty 1, difficulty 2, we were fine. But then once we got to like 3, 4, things just kind of fell off for Star-Lord. So don't really use Star-Lord as much on my roster anymore, which is actually really sad. I got him at 6 red, 6 yellow, 6 red currently. As a matter of fact, I do have him at 7 stars as well. Just have yet to hit that button because I just don't really use Star-Lord anymore. So he's still a good character in my personal opinion, but he's gotten power crept a lot. I think it's fair to say that, in the beginning part of the game, a lot of his kit, in terms of like his ultimate ability, that 480% didn't actually do a lot of damage, about a year ago. But right now, that 480% damage doesn't really carry much anymore. He still does have a really good usage in terms of this one ability here, his special ability, which grants 2 ability energy to the random adjacent allies. So that does still carry very well. That's actually why he's still a recommended character for me for you to use in Dark Dimension 2. But unfortunately, because he has been power crept, stats wise, don't really go very far when it comes to Star-Lord anymore. 124% 24,000 damage. He's at level 74 for me. Gear tier 13, 6 and 6, right? In terms of abilities, that's just not carrying very well for him anymore. So in my personal opinion, I think the one thing that you could do for Star-Lord is just increase the health. We don't really need much on the damage. Armor is fine. Armor is actually pretty good. It is taking away much of the damage that characters are doing, but it's just the health aspect of it that he doesn't have enough of. So I think if you actually just increase the health on Star-Lord, I think that actually would go a long way. Like bump this up by like 30, 40,000 will make him a lot more of a viable option. His energy given is still very good. The elemental gun still does something, still enough damage. It calls an assist too as well. So you're going to do additional damage when he does do that ability. He also gives himself ability energy too as well. So, he's still a useful character. It's just that because he's been power crept so much, a lot of people don't use him anymore. He's really just good until you get to the mid game point. After the mid game point, Star-Lord does tend to fall off. But I think if you just increase just his stats just a little bit, I think that you could actually still use Star-Lord very much on your roster by just making that little minor tweak with just increasing the health stats on Star-Lord, in my personal opinion. The next character on my list here is the legendary Shuri, as Valley would say. Shuri is a good legendary. She could be a better legendary if they made some minor tweaks to Shuri. So Shuri is great in raids. She's a phenomenal raid character, right? That's pretty much basically where you use Shuri. Unfortunately, and of course you can also use her as well with the Mercs. I know a lot of people right now are using her on the Mercs team, which it works really well with Killmonger, with Merc Riot Guard, with Taskmaster, and with the Merc Lieutenant. But I do think that Shuri does suffer a little bit outside of raids, and I think this is the reason why. Once again, it's this health stat. Her healing is primarily based on her health stat, right? So with a low health stat outside of raids, in raids she does get the additional 20 to 40% extra health, to her and to Wakandan allies. If you use her with Wakandas, which most people don't, right? But she does get that additional 40% max health. So therefore, Shuri is still she's really good in raids, right? Because that extra 40% health is going to be significant healing when it comes to raids. But I do think that to make her better, more of a viable option, it probably should allow that healing to actually go further if it wasn't, sorry, the max health portion of it. So I'm looking at the passive here from a max health perspective. If they changed this from just being in raids, to maybe potentially being also, I hate the war aspect, but maybe being also viable in war, or maybe just taking away just the raids aspect and giving her the extra 40% health outside, of just period. Just take away the rage and just say extra 40% health to her and extra 40% health to Wakandans. I feel like it would be fine, because then she could have that higher health, would be viable and good in arena. It would also be good, in war. It would be good in every other area. I think would make it better, or just in general, just bump up her stats. Just bump up her stats outside of, so that her health could be better, because her healing is based on her health. So I think just bumping that up would make Shuri a better character, that you can use outside of raids. Right now, she only really has a viability for me in raids. I use her in Dark Dimension 3, but unfortunately she dies first. The only benefit that I'm really getting from her right now is that she does give some energy when she does her special ability instant upgrade, and then she does do the 2-turn heal block, which is very helpful for me in that Iron Fist Node 7 in Dark Dimension 3. But mostly I don't use her anywhere outside of that, other than putting her on my Mercs team for war defense. That's really the only place that I really use her. So I think that just giving her a little bit more of a health boost, health stat boost, would make her a much better option, not just in raids, but also outside of raids too as well. Next character on the list for me is Punisher. So I know, y'all don't yell at me now. Y'all don't yell at me. I know Punisher and the Defenders team is not a team that everybody uses. Nobody kind of like toots their horn anymore. But hear me out for a second. Right? Imagine if Punisher had a Defenders tag on. Like, think about that for a second. Punisher actually does pretty decent damage. He does pretty decent damage. His health is poop juice. Like, his health is not good whatsoever. But just imagine for a second if Punisher had the Defenders tag. He's the main damage dealer on the Defenders team, by the way, right? He's the main damage dealer for that team. He hits whenever Daredevil gets attacked. His turn 1 AoE is actually really good, but there's a few areas where Punisher does lack. His speed is a big issue. 98 speed is a big issue. But if he actually did have the Defenders tag, then he would get an additional speed boost from Daredevil, because the Daredevil gives Defenders additional speed boost, right? Think about that for a second. If his health is a little bit of an issue, but if he had the Defenders tag, Iron Fist would actually heal him a little bit better, just like how he similarly heals the Defenders team. If he also was a Defender, then whenever Luke Cage does his taunt, he gives regeneration to the Defenders team. He would then also give regeneration to Punisher. If he had a Defenders tag, whenever Daredevil gives counter to the Defenders team, then he would also himself get counter. Can you imagine Punisher having a counter on him as well? Like, seriously, if you just gave Punisher the Defenders tag, Punisher would be much better than he is right now. I think in general, actually, the Defenders would actually have a little bit more viability if you actually just change and gave Punisher the Defenders tag. You could also flirt with the option of giving them the military tag too. The military tag, Captain Marvel, if you use them with Captain Marvel does give an additional health, and I believe she does give additional damage too as well. I'm not remembering specifically, but I do know that there is a military background from just Punisher the character. So I think Punisher having the military tag would be good. Obviously, I think him having the Defenders tag would be great. So give him the Defenders tag, even maybe potentially just bump up this health a little bit, the health stat just a tad bit, I think would be good, for Punisher too as well. But I just think in general, Defenders tag would be great. You can finally start using them in gamma raids. Now on that Defenders lane where they request an Axie for Defenders, you could start using him there too as well. Maybe you wouldn't have so much difficulty with Psylocke if you just gave Punisher that Defenders tag. All right, next character on my list here is Iron Man. Iron Man is a super power crept character, good legendary in the very, very beginning part of the game, but unfortunately he's not very good anymore. has been extremely power crept. Health is not very good. Damage was okay back in the day. Armor was okay back in the day, but at this point now, he just doesn't really have any sort of viability as a character. A lot of people don't. In the early part of the game, yes, you can still use Iron Man. He will still actually generate some good sort of value for you on your roster. But as you get a little bit later on in the game, he doesn't really have that much viability or as an option anymore. I mean, you can tell he's a perma legendary, a character that you can unlock at 3 stars, you know, so I mean, come on now. I mean, it's obviously Marvel Strike Force is telling us that he's not as good anymore. So he's immediately the first character that's taken off of the power armor team. You know, when it comes to you know, a lot of people are using Ultron now with the power armor team. He's a character that's taken off of that power armor team. You know, when you're talking about the Avengers team, people don't even really use him with the Avengers team unless it's early and you can get him. You don't really use them with the Avengers team. A lot of people are now using Coulson. I see people using Captain Marvel. You know, I see people even throwing in Thor on that team, you know, too as well, and using Thor on that team. So listen, he obviously has gotten way too power crept. He needs a stat boost. He needs some more viability as an option here. He's a legendary, guys. He's a legendary. Give him some more options here. You know, give us some more some options here for Iron Man. I still think that his kit is very good. Does damage. You know, or his kit is okay. Like, it does damage. Rocket Barrage could do a little bit more, you know, damage. I do agree. You know, basic is what it is. You know, really, it's really the ultimate ability that, you know, that really is the thing. Takes a while for it to build up. But listen, just increase his stat abilities, give him some more survivability, I think would make him a better character. Next character on my list here is Captain Marvel, the quintessential plug and play character. She goes everywhere on your roster, on your team. A lot of people still use this character. I still use this character. Right now, I use her on my Young Avengers team. I think she's very, very good on the Young Avengers team. You know, she's very good as well on the Avengers team. A lot of people are plugging and playing her there too. I also hear people plugging and playing her with the Asgardians team and putting Thor back on the Wave 1 Avengers team. So listen, really, really good option here for Captain Marvel. But I think, you know, she got a little power crept. Obviously, stats, same as well. Could increase a little bit here in the stats, but I do think, you know, from a kit perspective, she still does damage. That 540% is still good. That 6, and she gets it on turn 1. That extra 100% damage, you know, with you, if you have that thing T forward, still makes her a viable option. She clears, you know, all positive effects off the enemy. Still good. Like, she's still a usable character. Her and Miss Marvel together, nightmare. Love them together, especially with that Striker and that Skirmisher ISO. Really, really, really good together. Listen, she's still a good character, but could benefit from having a rework, could benefit from actually having a team in the game as opposed to just having a plug and play option, you know, for Captain Marvel. You know, I know A-Force is a team that she could probably be a part of, right? I know there's only She-Hulk in the game. You probably have to add other characters like Medusa, you know, whatever it's for that A-Force team to work. But still, I think maybe just giving her a team might be good, might make her better. I think, in my personal opinion, you know, or just I really actually don't even think that you really need her stats to increase. I still think that she's still a nightmare. She's still a nightmare alone on war defense. Like, she's still good. She's still good. I just think, in my opinion, just make her a little bit better. Give her a team that she can actually work with, and not the Kree. I know y'all about to say the Kree team. No Kree. No, guys, give her an actual team for herself. You know, that she could actually still be a better viable option, in my personal opinion. I think just a little bit of a rework would make her a little bit better, you know, in my personal opinion. Last character on my roster here, is Vision. Vision's like in a weird spot right now, right? Vision's like in a super, super, super weird place right now. You know, he's still good, still very good with a tech team, but I have him at level 69, gear tier 11. He's only at 5 and 3, but my God, this 72,000 stat, like, bro, I don't know where I can use it right now. I'm in gold 4 in war, bro. He has no viability for me unless I build him up to like level 71 and gear tier 12. He's just not really that usable anymore. And it's crazy because his kit is good. The offense down, the 2-turn offense down, applying bleeds. Like, I mean, like, ability blocking, you know, he's clearing positive effects off the other team. Like, bro, like the on spawn, like he's giving defense up to other tech allies. Bro, he's still a good character. but just needs a little bit more, just a little bit more seasoning, you know, on my vision. If I can, please give me a little bit more seasoning on my vision, y'all. I would love to be able to see him get a little bit more sort of work, a little bit more sort of massaging. Just give Vision a little bit more oomph. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Just give him a little bit more oomph. Give him, you know, I think the Avengers tag is fine. I think he would actually be a good Avengers plugin if a Young Avengers team, Way 1 Avengers team plugin, if, you know, maybe his health was a little bit better. You know, I don't know. I don't know what you could do with Vision. Y'all tell me what we could do for Vision, y'all. I think Vision is a lovely character in the game that can be used, but just has gotten power crept too as well. It doesn't really, the stats don't really go that far, especially now when you have characters that can do 72,000 damage in just one hit, baby. I mean, it just doesn't go that very far. But listen, y'all, these are my options here. There's a bunch of other characters, you know, that we could have probably talked about too as well, that probably could use some reworks. You know, Rocket is one, like, great damage, but low health, doesn't really go very far. You know, I think the entire Defenders team probably could use, you know, a little bit of a rework too as well. There's a bunch of other characters, guys, that I think probably could get some rework. But for me, these are like my top characters that I think should get some fixes. Definitely Star-Lord, definitely Shuri, you know, Captain Marvel for sure, Vision. I mean, these are some really, really, really good characters that I think could just benefit from a little bit of a tweaking, a little bit of a rework, guys. But I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what options you guys are thinking about when it comes to characters that could get reworks in this game, that could be OP or just good or better, you know, more usable, you know, if they had a little bit more sort of rework on them. All right, guys, I'm stopping here. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, guys, be blessed and y'all be safe.